I will not say, oh, but Matt, what did you just beat the Saints?
Right.
I won't do it. What he just did was hard. He had no Kittle. His fullback left. And if you're sitting here, road games with adversity attached, one of them in division, and you are 2-0, bravo. But I'm not hearing you if you say, it's the Saints. You're not going to do it. None on my watch. We're not doing this.
We're not doing Schedule Sam.
No, we're not. There's a lot of people out there doing Schedule Sam.
You can schedule Sam all you want. You have a schedule. You play a game. And when you win, it's a Victory Monday. When you lose, we rip everyone.
You're absolutely right, but it goes deeper than that. If you have uttered the phrase, it was the Saints. If you did that,
I have.
Fine. I find you to be wrong in the way you're looking at this, if that's how you feel today. I do not think you need to apologize for being impressed by the San Francisco 49ers, who lost their quarterback, lost their tight end, then they lost their fullback. Their wide receiver core has had duct tape around the room for a month and a half. Then their left tackle admitted he flew to New Orleans with no intentions of playing football. And only when he got fired up and inspired in arriving at the building did he suddenly say, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. And the pregame workout worked well, but he's clearly not 100% and played a lot better. And this defense, which I'm not even going to say you're inaccurate, you're now calling the calling card. We spent the last month wondering if these pups are going to be ready to play. And they already largely looked better this week than they did the week before. They're not perfect yet, but that's by design. They're supposed to get better as the season goes. And if you're sitting here, road games with adversity attached, one of them in division, and you are 2-0, bravo. And I don't want to hear, you get to say it because you're you, I'm me, whoever you like, but I'm not hearing you if you say, it's the Saints.
Well, you can't be better than 2-0. So that's where I start. And we always do Victory Monday, and I really want to focus on that every single time that they win a game, because winning in the NFL is not easy. Ask Kansas City, and they faced a team that had 220 yards of total offense, yet they couldn't beat them. And ask the New York Giants, who had Dallas by the short hairs, and Brandon Aubrey made a 184-yard field goal.
That game.
And that game was awesome.
So drunk.
It was
that
so
game
fun.
Was so drunk.
Bananas, but you look at Brian Dable at the end, and he's like, I am so fired. Maybe not today, but how do we not win this game? So winning is hard. Yep. The Saints aren't good, but you don't have to apologize ever for a win. And I'll say this about the Saints. Alvin Kamara is still really, really good, and Spencer Rattler is better than I gave him credit for.
Well, he's going to be a household.
Well,
any day now.
He's not going to be a household yet. And he's 0-8 as a starter, and he made plays, and he made throws that were better than what his receivers did for him. They had multiple drops, and they had multiple third down penalties on defense.
Although so the Niners.
Right, but I think that the New Orleans Saints are going to be a team in November and December that you should keep an eye on as a team that will probably win games in the latter half of the year.
Maybe,
They're going to get better.
Young teams should, and they do have certainly a quirky home field environment that is hard for other teams. Tucked into what I'm saying about being impressed. And we can, if we all want to adjudicate who believed in him and who didn't, we can do that. I have no problem. I'm here and I'll stand on what I said. I did not have a whole lot of reason, in my opinion, based on the history of Mac Jones, in just trusting that he was going to go out there and look great. But I thought he looked fantastic. I am not here to take anything away from him by any stretch. That is everything that you can ask for out of a backup quarterback performance. And similar to what I just said 2 minutes ago, I'll give this to Mac as well. I will not say, oh, but Mac, what did you just beat the Saints?
Right.
I won't do it. That's hard. What he just did was hard. He had no Kittle. His fullback left. Other people are being thrown into the fullback position. His left tackle, like the offensive line, they were good. They were pretty good, but he's not a runner. He's got to do this in a statuesque way. There were a few second-half throws where he ripped them in with anticipation down the middle of the field, got his wide receivers involved. wonderful. Just a fantastic performance week 2 on a new team by a backup QB.
No doubt, especially when you look at the game and you start to watch what was going on. And they took a delay in, I think it was in the second half, where he's telling Kendrick Bourne, no. And I can't read his lips because he has a helmet on and I'm watching on TV, but you could see, like, he points to one guy. He's like, no, you move up on the line. And then he goes, you go over here in motion, and then you motion back. He's trying to figure out how to tell these guys where to be and what to do pre-snap, where we take a lot of it for granted when it's Juwan and Ayuk and it's Debo and it's McCaffrey and it's Kittle and they're 4 years in and they all know you don't have to like traffic cop it. And then you watch Mac, who he has command of the offense. He's been here for 6 or 7 months, but Kendrick is back and he's new, and MVS, who had a target and he's relatively new, and now we got Tonjes and Farrell, and now Tonjes is playing fullback because Juszczyk got hurt. So there was a lot of moving parts that Mac had to deal with, and yet after that first drive, when he went 0 for 3, he was 26 of 36, and he had just the one fumble, which was unfortunate. He had another fumble on the exchange that was kind of a mishap, and he was able to fall on it. But by and large, Mac Jones was awesome.
He was fantastic, and I think that you look also, especially because he is still a young player. I know this was his 50th start, but he's still a young player, just like Brock is, and when you're now in a new offense and you're dealing with brand new wide receivers, like he got Kendrick Bourne involved, 3 targets, all 3 were catches. They were important catches, and I know Kendrick knows the system from years ago, and he knows Mac from years ago, and blah, blah, blah. But I'm sorry. Maybe I'm easily amused. I'm impressed by that. Kendrick just arrived 4 days ago, and he's out here making first downs on the road in a loud environment in New Orleans. This is all this is what, in my opinion, has happened with all of us gambling and playing fantasy football and deciding that logos on helmets are what actually decide football games. Oh, it's the Saints. Well, no. Kendrick Bourne and Juwan Jennings, Christian McCaffrey, Ricky Pearsall are lined up with dudes who are NFL defensive backs and actually had a pretty successful week last week also as a defense, and they were able to function and move the ball. And young quarterbacks often lean on running backs and tight ends, and they have a hard time ripping the ball downfield to wide receivers. But let me count them up. Juwan 5, Ricky 4, Kendrick 3. That's 12. Yep. And yes, Valdez-Scantling was 1 target and missed it. 12 completions to wide receivers. Phenomenal. That's how you win the football game.
And a couple of big-time throws, and the penultimate drive, the second to last drive, where he runs that bootleg and it breaks down, and he just fired it through like 7 different Saints, and Juwan Jennings was able to catch it and go for 4 yards. It wasn't a big, significant play, but that was the kind of confidence that Mac had, where the play broke down and he was able to fit that one in. And the touchdown to Juwan, that was a classic Shanahan special.
Yep.
And I know Mac Jones talked about it, how that's one of Kyle's favorite plays and stuff. And, when you see it drawn up and you see McCaffrey go across the formation and the linebacker starts to cheat up thinking CMC, I got to keep an eye on it. And then, he looks him off and then just boom, right over the top.
Right over his head.
Yeah, it was a drive-by, as Mac said, and Juwan just was able to coast right in the end zone. And even the first touchdown to McCaffrey, great route, great throw, right on time, touchdown.
I loved it.
Incredible, yeah.
I loved it. And I did not just sit down and expect the 49ers to win. And by the way, after the first series, I was like, oh, God, that's exactly what I was worried this would look like. So props to them for working through that as well, because that was exactly like for 3 plays, I'm like, oh, crap. I was worried that I'll put it this way. I was worried that my fears were legit. Yeah,
and a little bit of a weird start where you come out and you go bootleg for Mac Jones and they bust it up and he has to throw it away, and then you throw into Tonjes, yikes, and then you throw into Juwan into quadruple coverage.
Traffic.
And I was thinking in the moment, like, oh, God, Shanahan, what are you doing? And then as the game evolved, it's like he did that to try to get his quarterback comfortable, and clearly Mac talked about it after the game. He was nervous. And you should be nervous.
Of course you should be nervous.
Right.
Yeah. You're on the road. It's loud. You're a backup. You've never played for this team. There are trained 300-pound killers chasing you. I mean, yeah, I'd be nervous.